let me turn to somebody who doesn't have a lot of fear and is totally authentic. Two people, actually. That would be Joe Rogan and Oliver Anthony. So, Joe Rogan had Oliver Anthony come to his comedy club there in Texas recently, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, they couldn't believe it when he got up on stage and he sang. Oliver Anthony now has the number 1 and number 2 hits in country music. Just fantastic. Anyway, here he is talking about that authenticity, right? And what resonates. The good thing about the time we're in right now, everyone, is I do think people are getting back to basics in a way that's pretty important. Here I am just talking to you. There's no teleprompter. There's no whiz-bang graphics. There's no music. It's just me and you. And I can see all of your comments. And I love having you here. We're going to get to the comments actually towards the end of the program. So I do read them all. And, this is the future. Anyway, Oliver Anthony knows it. Joe Rogan knows it. And here they are talking about Karine Jean-Pierre and the fact that she's tweeting for President Biden. It was exposed recently, and they're just having a really good laugh over this because Joe Biden's not tweeting. I don't think he's ever used Twitter in his life. I'm sure he has no clue how to use it. By the way, I know that President Trump does actually tweet and now does the truth himself. I actually remember I was in the Oval Office with him. We had just done an interview. He had actually sent out quite a tweet about Stormy Daniels. And we won't go there. But anyway, he said something to me to the fact, they don't want me to tweet this. But, I had to defend myself. I just had to. And and I'm like, oh, wow. Well, that's going to create a lot of news. Anyway, the point being, he literally had Twitter right on his phone, right there. And he was tweeting himself. Compare and contrast, shall we say, with Mr. Biden, who definitely isn't tweeting. In fact, it's Karine Jean-Pierre who's doing it all for him, as Joe Rogan gets. Oh, did you hear what Joe said? By the way, they're totally right? Like this is the whole problem. And Bernie Sanders, I don't agree with anything Bernie Sanders says. I am a red-blooded American capitalist through and through. Live free or die, New Hampshire. Those are my roots, where we still have no state income tax or sales tax, and yet somehow we managed to balance our budget and do just fine. Actually, right near my hometown was just named as the number 2 place to live in America. So again, you don't have to tax people to death to make it work. You just have to be a little smarter with your resources. So, Bernie Sanders, despite his politics, I will say this. This is a guy who has been a one-trick pony his whole career, and he believes it. He really believes in socialism, like full on, loves it. Which should scare you, because this is Comrade Bernie Sanders, should scare you a lot. But at least he stands for something, and at least he's consistent, and that's important. By the way, as to Joe saying that the politicians from the 90s sounded like Nazis, I'm not so sure on that. Because who sounds like a complete fascist here is, none other than Hillary Clinton, because I want to play you, and I'm going to keep playing you this. It's so important that you remember what she said in August of 2020. I could not believe my ears. I literally fell off my chair. Like, I was like, did she really just say that? I mean, of course she did, right? Because they say whatever they need to say, and they'll bend the rules to fit them however they need them to fit. And in this particular case, she was telling one of her former PR people that Joe Biden should not give up. In other words, he should fight. He should have all the legal prep on standby with the election. Here she is saying this in August of 2020, right before November. She doesn't know the results yet. And this is what the comment was. Watch it.
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch.
Oh, that's her tactic, huh? He'll eventually win if you don't give an inch. Of course, when Donald Trump and his legal team try to ask a few questions about some voting machines and try and figure out, was this really fair in Georgia or Pennsylvania and some close areas? When they try and take the tactic of Maybe we shouldn't give an inch. Maybe we should make sure that everything is full on legit. They're suddenly now indicted with 91 counts when it comes to the president. I mean, they're just indicting him for everything. And now in Fulton County, Georgia, they're going wall to wall. They want TV cameras in the courtrooms and the whole 9 yards for none other than, September of 2024. You tell me what that's about. I mean, you heard her. She was willing to do whatever it took. She was advising Joe to have all his lawyers on standby. Al Gore did. Remember hanging Chads in Florida? Like, if we're not in a position as a country to be able to say, okay, well, we can ask questions and we can, trust but verify, to use a Regan term, can we not have everything verified? And if we ask to have it verified, we're somehow now in violation of the law? This is getting a little wacky, okay? A little wacky, especially considering some other stuff that we've been learning about none other than Hunter Biden. There's some text that the sister somehow, no, forgive me, Hunter sent to his sister, that's been revealed, saying that he's got to give Pops 50% of his earnings. What's that? And why did he have 20 LLCs right after his dad became vice president? And why the heck was there $11 million transferred into his accounts? This is reported by NBC News. Why was $11 million transferred in from Ukraine between the years 2013 and 2018? Why was he working on the board of Burisma getting $83,000? Let me tell you, $83,000 a month for a board job. A lot of board jobs, they don't even pay $83,000 a year. Like, that is mega bucks, like unheard of stuff. So if this was a quid pro quo, we kind of need to know about that. And instead, they're going after Donald Trump with one of the counts in Georgia being that he retweeted a tweet from OAN. And that in doing so, he's retweeting false misinformation. And I'm just like, wow, like this is not the America we know and love. And so back to Joe Rogan saying that, in the 90s, the politicians, well, they all sound like Nazis now. No, I'd say that they sound pretty darn scary when I hear Hillary Clinton saying stuff like that. I'm going to play it again.
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch.
Yeah. Wow. It tells you everything you need to know. Never forget. I'm going to play it from now all through 24 because we all need to remember. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.